on guys, the Comics Kid 2099 here. Today I want to talk to you about Farmhand Volume 1, Reap What Was Sown. This collects the first 5 issues of the ongoing comic book series Farmhand. This is written and illustrated by Rob Gilroy, who was the artist on Chew, which was a series that I liked quite a bit. And this feels like it's a very worthy spiritual successor to Chew. It's about as odd and quirky as Chew was, and it does feel tonally very similar. I think that I like this book quite a bit. It's doing a whole lot. It's introducing you to a whole lot of characters and concepts here, a lot like Chew does. Chew has a whole lot of concepts and characters that it gives you over the course of about 60 issues, and this feels like it's heading in a similar direction. It feels very much like Rob Gilroy has plans for how this series is going to end, very long-term plans for where he's going here, and I like that. I like that it feels like he knows what he's doing. Some writers don't really have a long-term plan. They'll start something and it might take on a life of its own, and that's fine, but I like it when someone has a plan. And I said that I think I like this because this first 5 issues here feels like they are just finishing introducing everybody. And I think once I read Volume 2, I'm going to know for certain, yes, I definitely like this. And this is not bad, but it is mostly introducing everyone. And it is introducing quite a few characters. So the main plot of this is you have a character named Ezekiel. His father is Jedediah, and that's him right there on the cover. They come from a long line of farmers, and Jedediah has this really weird farm where he can grow human parts. So at one point in the book, we have someone who is missing an arm, and Jedediah puts a farm-grown arm on this person, and it grafts itself to the person, and then within minutes, it is his new arm. And that is the premise. And Ezekiel, his wife, and his 2 children are coming back to live on Jedediah's farm after a few years of Ezekiel kind of having a distant, strained relationship with his father. And Ezekiel also has a sister, Andy, and there's a lot going on with her that we don't even get anything hinted at until one of the last issues, and I like her character quite a bit once we find out more about what's going on with her. There are some dark secrets in this town connected to Jedediah. There's the mayor who has some kind of understanding with Jedediah. One of the mayor's sons works with Jedediah, and so even when he screws up his job as a security person, which ends up with someone almost dying, no one actually dies, but it's a near-death thing. Even when he screws up his job, Jedediah doesn't fire this guy because he has some kind of deal going on with the guy's father, who is the mayor, and then it's kind of a you help me, I help you kind of situation. And then there's this other woman who used to work with Jedediah. There's a lot going on here, and if I had any criticism at all, I do like this, but I think this could have slowed down a little bit more. Slowed down, slown, that's not a word. I think this could have taken it easy just a little bit, slowly get us into this world. I'm remembering Chew, and there's a lot of weird stuff with Chew right out the gate. There's a lot of mysteries that you slowly find out the answers to over the course of that series, but it doesn't give you everything that you're going to be getting into with that series in the first volume. It slowly introduces you to your main characters and some of the weird concepts, and then it gives you a few more weird concepts and a few more characters as you keep going. And this, maybe there is a whole lot more that's at stake here as we'll get into it, but right now I'm having a little trouble keeping up with everybody. There's this one guy who's a preacher, and his church is right next to a bar, and he says, you know, that's a great place to be. That's where the people need to be ministered to, and I like that. And he is the godfather of Ezekiel, and we don't really know what's going on with him. We know that he is basically like a brother to Jedediah, but we don't get to see Jedediah or the preacher interact any here, and we don't know what's going on with him. I'm assuming there's more than meets the eye, but overall, I like this series quite a bit. If you liked Chew, then you will probably like this series. There are already 2 volumes out, and a 3rd volume is being solicited right now. So this series has been underway for a little while, and I hate that I didn't know about it. The only reason that I knew about this was because I somewhat recently finished reading Chew, and then I wanted to see what else John Layman and Rob Gilroy were up to. John Layman is currently doing a series called Outer Darkness, and I'm very interested in that. That looks kind of cool. Haven't read it yet. And then Rob Gilroy has been working on this for a little while, and I think it's even being optioned as a TV series. So if you want to be like me and get in on the ground floor on this, and then tell all your friends that you know everything about Farmhand before the TV series starts, then go ahead and check out Farmhand Volume 1, Reap What Was Sown. I like it, and I want to know more. My only concern is I'm afraid that it's going to get caught up and introduce so many mysteries that it's not going to be able to keep up with everything that it has set up so far. Once I read Volume 2, I will have a very good idea idea of, okay, this is definitely a direction that I want to see the series go. Right now, I like it, but my only concern is it's so much to keep up with in the first 5 issues, and I do wish it had slowed down just a little bit, but I do like it. The art is just as good as Gilroy's art was in Chew. He does the same thing here that he did in that series, where you will have possibly a serious conversation going on in the foreground, and then you'll have some goofy sign on the back. At one point, we're in a hospital, and there's a sign that says syringes, pointy, right? And that's hilarious. There's all kinds of stuff like that. Characters reading magazines. Anytime you are looking at a book drawn by Rob Gilroy, look closely at all the signs, all the magazines, stuff like that. This actually might be set in the Chew-niverse, I'm calling it, because at one point, Ezekiel's wife, she makes homemade hats, and you're seeing the selection of hats that she can make. There's the Asgard, which is kind of like Thor's hat, and then there's like the top hat, and they maybe call that like the Abraham Lincoln or something. And then there is the Savoy, and it shows a picture of Mason Savoy, who was a major character in Chew. And then it has the Chog, which is a half chicken, half frog. And so I guess this is set in the world of Chew. Jedediah, who looks kind of old, he looks like he's in his early to mid 60s here, and his son is a grown man who has a kid who's like in her early teens, so it makes sense that Jedediah would be in his early 60s, but his birthday is given at one point, and he was born in, I think, 1982, so this is probably set like in the 2040s, and if that's the case, this would be set long after the events of most of Chew, but possibly still set in the world of Chew, and if that's the case, I'm down for it. I like it, because this still looks like it can very much have its own identity and not be caught up in the avian flu and all that stuff with Chew, and still be part of that world, but not really have any crossover potential with that world. And I think that's kind of cool. So you've got that own little small corner of the Image Comics publishing world that's its own little series of worlds, I guess. Chew, Revival, and then now Farmhand. So anyway, I like this, and I think you guys should check it out, and then I will definitely be reading Volume 2 and digging more into the series. Digging, because it's farm work. Digging. Anyway, I will see you guys later. I hope you guys have a great day. Have a good one.